currently one playlist in it with close to 80 videos. Jeff Teaches Programming-Python. I'm going to continue on the Python journey. We've gone through all sorts of stuff, and lately in the last few lectures, I've been going through and rewriting some of the apps that I've done as GUI, or Graphical User Interface apps, using TKinter, or TKinter, which is not the only way you can do that here. So far, I created a simple hello world, which I don't have on here, but we can always come back and add that. But we've got a simple payroll GUI, a more advanced payroll GUI. Then we went in and we did the guessing game. Then we did the BMI program, and now I'm going to do this calculator GUI. And in fact, I'm going to make another folder here that I'm going to call Calculator GUI 02. Okay? All right, and I'm going to open up the Calculator GUI 01. I did find a little bit of code that had some comments in it. So there, oh, I thought I did. All right, that's fine. That's fine. I'll just add it here. That's fine. It's not that much. So, this Python TKinter GUI program should create a simple calculator with the following. First, row 1 with a label that says number 1, and also row 1 with an entry field for number 1. Put about 6 of those in there. Next, row 2 with a label that says number 2 and an entry field for number 2. Row 3, let's fix all these while I'm at it, with a label that says answer. And row 3 with a read-only entry field for answer. All right. Row 4 with the following working buttons: A plus for addition, B minus for subtraction, C asterisk for multiplication, D slash for division. We're going to add a couple more onto this too. I'm going to add E % for modulo. F will be double this for integer division. And G, I believe it's double that for exponentiation. If it's not, I'll find out. All right, so that's row 4. Then row 5. With the working button that says clear, and row 5 with a working button that says exit. Finally, all right, I'm going to put a 6 here, but this isn't going to be anything. I just want to put this in here. And that is, do not allow for non-numeric input except for a minus sign for a negative number and or 1 decimal point. All right, that's pretty much what I'm looking at here. All right, so that's it. Now, just so you know, and I ran this in the last program to show you what it looked like. To show you what it looked like basically as a console app. So let's just get to it. So let's import TKinter as TK, and from TKinter we will also import our message box. All right, it's kind of been standard, so again, it's up to us. We can go and we can build first the interface and then the functions, but I'm going to build the functions first this time. All right, so the first one I'm going to put in here, is going to be the function to perform any all calculations. And we'll just call it calculate. And it's going to take in an operation. That operation is going to be whatever I wanted to do: add, subtract, multiply, divide, etc. All right, so let's put this in a try. At the bottom, we'll have our accept, and that accept will have in it a value error. And I've kind of been doing it like this so far, where I say message box dot show error, and I'll just put in here input error, and I'll say, like, please enter valid numbers. You know, if you don't like that, you can put in whatever you like, of course. All right, so there's that. And let's get the try in here. All right, so we're going to have two numbers. So num1 is going to be equal to float, and it's going to be entry field number 1. Now, we don't have an entry field number 1, which is why we're getting an error here. Dot get and I don't want this. There we go. And num2 is going to look the same. So num2 is going to be equal to float ef number 2 dot get. Okay, and again, I'm getting those errors because I haven't created the interface yet. All right. So I'm going to do my checks, all of them that were shown here. Okay, so let's do a switch on the operation. And how did we do that before? We do a match on operation. Oh, that's what we did. Well, let's go back and double check here. I think we did that. Put one of those, I believe, in the BMI program. Maybe not. Alrighty, let's get rid of that. Would that have been in the payroll? Maybe. Boy, this is not good, so we'll find it. Guessing game. There we go. All right, so match selection case. I'm just going to grab this. Okay, and let's get rid of all these. Just leave it like that. Happen to hear any noise behind me? All right, it's pouring outside, so in fact, I'm at 11 minutes. I'm going to stop for just a second here. All right, somehow I've screwed this up, as I always seem to do. So let me go back to here. I think I've found this. Yeah, I should have kept that from before. That's okay. All right, so let's see. I don't know exactly where I'm putting this right now. This is main.py. Okay, and it's in something called, okay, it should be fine. All right. So let's get down to where we were here. So we've got our match. Okay. And now let me just make my life a little easier here. All right. So if it's a 1, we want to add. If it's a 2, we want to subtract. If it's a 3, we want to multiply. If it's a 4, we want to divide, but remember, we may have a problem. We may try to divide by 0, so I'm going to say result equal num1 divided by number 2. And then I'm going to say afterwards, if num2 not equal 0, else error division by 0. All right, so that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 is modulo. So that's going to be this. And then afterwards, I'm going to want to add the exact same thing that I put here. 6 is going to be integer division. And again, I'm going to add this. And 7 is going to be exponentiation. Let's put comments in here so at least we got some kind of an idea what's going on. So, addition. Copy this down into each one of these. Subtraction. I know it's pretty obvious when you look at the sign, but you know, I haven't put a whole boatload of documentation in here anyway. So multiplication. Division. Modulo. Yeah. Integer division. And finally, exponentiation. Okay. Now, we also will put a case with an underscore in here, which again, as always, is going to be our default case. All right. And in that case, we'll just, I don't know. We're just going to print I don't know. Jeez Louise. So we'll put in here a message box. And we'll put in here, the title will be invalid operation. And we'll just say this operation cannot be performed. Again, you don't like it, just put whatever you like in there. Now, because again, I'm having a brain fart right now, let's type in Python exponentiation example. I was going to say, I thought that's what it was. So in this case, case 7, it'll be this with 2 asterisks. Okay? So we've got the whole calculation thing is done now. Now, we haven't built this, so we're getting 2 errors right now because we don't have EF number 1 and EF number 2. All right? Now, I shouldn't say that because technically we're not done yet. All right? Let's go down here. If this is the case, invalid operation, the operation could not be performed. Technically, I should probably put a return right there. All right? Now, once we get done with this, and we're done with this match here, which we're done with now, we can say EF answer dot config state equals tk.normal. And what are we doing right there? We've talked about this before. All right. Change read only to non-read only. All right. So that's EF answer. And in just a minute, we're going to turn it back again. So EF answer dot delete. Just remove everything that's in there. So remove anything currently in EF answer. All right, and finally, then we got to insert EF answer dot insert str result. And then we will put answer into EF answer. All right, here we changed read-only EF answer to non-read-only, and here we're going to change non-read-only EF answer to read-only. Okay, so that should be everything in there. Okay, as far as I know, I've got everything done. It's all handled. Now, let's see. I guess these are going to have to be moved over. Like that. Now, it's giving me red here. Expected case. Yeah. I don't know. I'll try to move these over and see what that does. All right. So we've got that done. What else do we have to do? Well, let's write the rest of our code. How's that? All right. So def, I'll need something that will be to clear my entries. All right. And that'll say ef number 1 dot delete 0 tk dot end ef number 2 dot delete 0 to tk dot end, and finally ef answer dot delete. Ef answer dot delete 0 to tk dot end. That's it for that routine. All right. We also need, so we put a comment up at the above, function to perform any all calculations. Then this will be function to clear any all entry fields. Why don't we change it to clear entry fields? I like that a little better. And then we're going to have in here a function to validate the input. All right. Do it like that. All right. And 1 would be an insertion. Okay. All right, this is what we're going to allow to be empty. Okay, then we're going to put a try block in here. That's nice. All right, we're going to go over all of this in just a minute, but the next thing I'm going to put in here is our main application window. right. So let's build the interface. All right, so this will be, again, we said we'd have 6 rows. So let's put all this in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do it from reverse. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so let's start. So TK, let's just do it like this. LBL number 1 will be stuck under root. The text is going to be equal to number 1 dot grid. The row is equal to row 0. The column is equal to column 0. We'll put a pad X of 10 into all these. Okay. And LBL number 1 equals TK.label. Okay. And entry field number 1 is equal to TK.entry root. And we got to place that. So EF number 1. Number 1 is going to be equal to row 1 dot grid. Row equals 0, column equal 1. Pad X is equal to 10, and pad Y is also equal to 10. So that's our first row, and now it also should have removed that error we had above for EF number 1. Okay? All right, so let's grab all of this, because number 2 is basically the same thing. In fact, let's grab even the blank line. So we'll say this is number 2, 2, 2, 2, be in row 1, so will that, and again, that should now have removed this, as you can see. All right, so there's row 1, there's row 2. Let's do the answer, which is again going to look pretty similar, so again, we will just add it like this. So this will be LBL answer. And that'll be in row 2. All right, and this will be EF answer. All right, again, that'll be in row 2, column 1. And now all those errors that I had earlier, as you can see, they're all out of here. See that? All right. All right, now we're up to row 4. And let's see. We're going to do some validation here. In fact, before we do this, because I'll come back to this, let's put in these buttons first. All right, so this is row 1. So in other words, it holds number 1. This is row 2. In other words, it holds number 2. This is row 3. In other words, it holds the answer. This is row 4. It's going to hold some validation. This is row 5. This is going to hold basically our operation buttons. And these last ones are going to hold our clear and exit buttons. Let's do this backwards. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say EF clear equals TK.button root text equal clear. We'll set the width equal to 10. Command equal, that was called clear entry fields. Dot grid. The row here is going to be row 4. So row equal 4. Column equals 0. Let's give it a column span, and we'll make that of 2. And we'll give it a little bit of X and Y padding, but not quite as much as we did before. I think we'll just put in 5 in each one of these. So pad X equal 5, pad Y is also going to be equal to 5. All right, so that's the first button. Let's just copy it down. And this will be EF exit. And that'll say exit. Okay, the command here to exit will just be root.quit. We could ask the user if they were sure they wanted to quit, but I think that's fine the way it is. The row is again going to be 4, but now the column will be 2, not 1, because we did a col span, remember. All right, so that's those. Let's do our operation buttons here. So we're going to have here I was just thinking about something, and that is when we switch here, rather than this, let's put the signs in there. So plus, minus, it makes more sense. Minus, multiply, divide, oh, hello. Divide, modulo, integer division, which means we're going to move that back 1, and exponentiation, which again means we have to move that back 1. There we go. I think that's going to read a little nicer, to be honest with you. All right, so now we've got our buttons. All right, and we've got to put in our buttons for our operations. Okay? All right. So I call these EF, and they really should have been BTN because they're buttons. So BTN clear and btn exit. So let's call these btn add, btn sub for subtract, btn mul to multiply, btn div for divide, btn mod for modulo, btn integer division, so idiv, and btn exp. Okay, that one is a little bigger, but that's no big thing. All right, in fact, we'll move that over and we'll do it like this. So that equals tk dot button. Again, it's to root. The text is going to be equal to a plus sign. The command, let's do a width first. The width will be equal to 5. Come on. The command is going to be equal to a lambda, and we're going to call calculate, and we will be passing in the operation, which is the plus sign. Dot grid row equal, this is row 3, column is going to be equal to 0, pad x, it will be 5, and pad y will be equal to 5. I think that's good. Now the good news is I should be able to just kind of copy this down. So the second one, this will be minus, and it'll be in column 1. All right. The next one will be multiply, and it'll be in column 2. The next one will be divide, and it'll be in column 3. And then we'll have mod, which will be in column 4. And we'll kind of have our outlier here, so to speak. This will be in 5, and it will be like that. Let's move that over one. And then finally we'll have exponentiation, and that'll be in 6. So those are our 7 operations. All right. Now, there's one more thing I have to do, and that is this validation. But before I do that, I just want to do a file save all. I want to run it. It's not showing me any errors in here. I just want to see what it looks like, if anything. Sometimes, again, it doesn't pop up right away, or maybe I didn't hit the right button, but so we're trying it again. See if I got any errors. Not showing me any errors there. Oh, you should all by now, and I should as well, know the reason that we're not getting anything. And that is at the very bottom of the program, I have to start the TKinter loop. With root.main loop. Here we go. All right, so let's try that again. File, save all, and let's try running it again. All right. I don't really like the way it looks, but it could be worse. It could be better. These I don't like at all. These all say plus on them, which is weird. All right, but we got to fix this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Something is screwed up in there, but we'll fix it right away. There's clear and exit. Okay, number 1, number 2, and answer. So it's not terrible. Well, let's see if we can fix this. Oh, well, there's the problem here. So that's minus. That is multiply. That is divide. That is modulo. That is integer divide. And that is exponentiation. All right, so width is 5. And I've got the padding. 3, 3, 3, dot grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Padding 5. Let's see if that made it look any better. Well, if I make, no, that isn't going to do it. It's weird. It's like there's 2 things missing here. So, try to see if everything here is lining up. Pad X, pad Y, column, there's nothing spelled wrong. Row is 3. Well, something is hosed down there. We'll have to figure out what it is, okay? All right, let's go back to this validation for numeric input in here. Okay, I'm going to put it in, but I'm not going to explain it right now. I want to get this working first. And I'm already at 43 minutes, so validate. Oops, sorry. Did I turn that off? No, I did not. Good. Validate numeric input. Well, that's got to be the call that we used up here. So this was called validate input. So that shouldn't be called. Should do it like that. That's why that wasn't working. only thing that has to change is that's for number 2. All right. Now I'm going to take a break in just a minute and try to figure out why this is looking so funky in here. File, save all. One thing I want to do, just to be sure, okay, that's the width. Let's make this 600. And let's make it like 600 by 400. I think that should be a little bit better, but let's look. All right. So I can even make it 300, but this is all screwed up in here. And I think it's the col span that's goofing this up. That's what I think is moving that over, but I'm not positive. For the heck of it, let's see. Oh, I'm not getting anything either, so. Clear works. Exit works. That's good. Alrighty. Let's try one last thing in here. Okay. What I want to do is I want to take some time and explain to you what is happening when we knock that down to 300. But I want to explain to you what's happening in here. All right, but before I do that, I want to try to fix this. I'm trying to figure out, like I said, it has to be because of this column span. I think that if I remove the column span in here, I think that everything will look better. So let's see. Let's check. Good gravy. Bad option. Must be column. All right. Grid. Dot grid row equal column equal pad X pad Y. I don't know if that's what it did it or not, but. All right, it's looking for sticky and whatever, and we didn't talk about that either. So I'm going to take a quick break. We are at 50 minutes, so that's fine. And when I come back, I'm hoping this is going to work. So let me take a break right now. Thanks. All right, I'm found my errors. I'm going to continue on. First, let me just run it and show you what it looks like now. And I'm going to do just a simple calculation. All right, so there it is. I made it bigger, as you can see. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say 25 and 5. 25 plus 5 is 30. 25 minus 5 is 20. 25 times 5 is 125. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 25 modulo 5 is 0. Integer is 5. And 25 to the 5th power is whatever that is. All right, clear works. Exit. I do ask first. In fact, I should clear this too. Do I want to exit if I say no? And if I say yes? All right, so let's first fix that clear. Then I'm going to show you everything I did and talk about a few other things here. If answer.delete, and it did not delete it. Well, I'll have to look at that one, but let's just take it from the top and let's go over everything. Hopefully I don't have to mention this stuff. Now, I did jack with this, and what I mean is row 1 now also has, with a button for addition, and it also has a button for subtraction. And row 2 now has a button for multiplication, and it has a button for division. Row 3 now has a button for, what was it, modulo or remainder. Row 3 also has a button for integer division, and row 3 also has a button for exponentiation. All right, so row 4, where I have this, where I have these buttons, it's no longer there. Rather, what I'll do is make that row 4. And it has the following working buttons. And 4 has a working button for clear. It has a working button for exit. And actually, I put the exponentiation there as well. All right. And then this isn't going to even have a number. Notice it says do not, that should say allow. Do not allow for non-numeric input except for a minus sign, for a negative number, and 1 decimal point. All right. So if you do look right now, if I do a file, save all after making those changes and run it again, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try to type in some letters. H-E-L-L-O. Oops, L-O. And you'll notice it doesn't take any of those. If I put in a minus 34 and I try to put in another minus, it doesn't take it. If I put in 0.7 and try to put in another decimal point, it doesn't take it. All right. So what magic was it that made that happen? And basically the magic, and again, I can go over all this other stuff first. I didn't think this was a very difficult program, really. All right. This is grabbing, this says to convert the value in the EF number 1 entry field to a float. So this one is the one in EF number 2. Convert that to a float. All right. Then if I click the plus button, I want to add them. If I click the minus button, I want to subtract. If I click the multiply button, I want to multiply. This is a little bit a nicety that is to provide here again for Python, which says do this, but if number 2 is not equal to 0, do it. Otherwise, it should print there error division by 0. And I don't know if that's actually going to be too big. I didn't try that one, so let's try it. And in my output here, if I put in 2, 3, and then 0 and try to divide error division by 0, I guess I didn't make it wide enough. All right. Okay, so that's good. And this is modulo, so the remainder. So again, now you can't do a divide by 0. And you can't do a straight integer divide by 0 either. This, just so you know with this one, what this does, this is a straight integer by integer divide. So if I put in here 26, and I put in here 5, if I, 5, if I do a division, I get 5.2. But if I do an integer divide, I get 5.0. It's kind of the reverse of a modulo, where modulo gives you the remainder. The double dash gives you everything before the remainder. All right. And again, with this, there we go. Okay. Now, this is invalid operation. It shouldn't ever happen. Okay. But, and as I put here with the comments, you have to come in there and take this and set it to normal. Why? So that we're able to delete what was in there, and we're able to put the answer in there, which was that result from one of these. All right. And then we set it back to read only. All right. If there was any kind of a value error, which again, this shouldn't happen, we're just going to have a message box that says input error. Please use valid numbers. This will, as it says, clear all the entry fields, so all 3 of them. Now, for whatever reason, this EF answer dot delete wasn't working, it looked like. So let's try that again. So file, save all. Let's run it. Let's put in something simple. It's not clearing it. I'll have to look at that. I'm not sure what the problem is. Now, what's in here is what I want to talk about, this validate input. All right. This is part of the validation mechanism that we put into the calculator. All right. So we used it to control the input in EF number 1 and EF number 2. In other words, we wanted to make sure that if we're inserting something into either one of those fields, and those are the only 2 we can allow an insertion for, all right, that the only thing we allow for are numbers, a single dash at the beginning, or a single decimal point. All right, so this where do we have that here? Where is that? We use that in here. All right, so let's start it with here. This root.register, all right, it registers the function validate input that we have up above. And it says that it's going to be used as a validation, what's referred to typically as a callback in TKinter. The register method, it kind of wraps validate input so it can be used in a widget as a validation function. All right, and it has this stuff in there. These are substitution parameters. The %d specifies the action for the validation. That's going to be that 1 for an insert. So 1 is for an insert, and 0 is for a delete. The %p that you see there represents the value of the entry if the edit is allowed. So it's what we're trying to do. And the %s shows the current value before the edit. Together, because this is put in here, together, this lets validate input get the details about each change we're trying to make. All right, notice we're putting it into something that we're calling validate CMD. All right, That's a variable, as you hopefully can see or figure out. All right. And that variable holds the function validate input and its parameters. All right. So basically, this is going to hold the result that we get back from in here. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense or it doesn't make a lot of sense, but finally, when you look in here, we've got these two configs. They apply the validation command to the entry fields, to EF number 1 and to EF number 2. And by setting validate equal to key, it says that this is going to occur on each keystroke. This is what's going to make sure that we only allow numbers or a single minus sign at the beginning or a single decimal point. All right. Now, the other thing I want to mention, because it's something that we talked about, it's not used in this program. All right. What I'm about to talk about with you, I did not use it in this program, but there is a sticky option that we've used before in some of the programs. That sticky thing where you say, for example, sticky equals E, that controls the positioning and the stretching of the widget within its cell itself. When the widget is smaller than the cell, sticky can stick it to any side of the cell. The top by setting it to north, the bottom by setting it to south, to the left by setting it to west, or to the right by setting it to east. And you can even combine these. All right. So using sticky, what it does is it provides a way for you to control the alignment of widgets. We didn't have to worry about it in this one. All right. So really, that's the program. All right. And I think it's, hopefully it's at least reminiscent of what I tried doing earlier. All right. Now, one thing, I've never looked at this, and I'm sure you can. These are left justified. And let's see if we can. How to center justify text in a Python entry field. All right. How to center the input. Justify equals center. Let's see if we can put that in there and see if that makes this look even nicer. All right, so we're going to put that into each one of our entry fields here, here, and here, even though this answer is, is read-only. Okay, so we're going to try a justify equals center on each one of those. If it doesn't work, I'll just take it out. Oh, I added font settings to make this bigger. So justify equals center. Got that there. And there. And again, I'm not even sure if I'm putting it in the right spot or not. So we're going to try it anyways for the heck of it. Okay. If I get an error, well, big deal. Well, there, that's centered. So 345, 4. Oh, that's nice. This is going to be a god-awful number, but that's fine. And then clear and exit. I could play around with these buttons. All right, put this one over here and move this one over. All right. And let's see if we do that. So this would be, that might look a little nicer. That's the last thing I want to do with this program. So we've got here 4. Let's put this in 1. 10, 1. And let's put this, I don't know if that belongs in 2 or 3. We'll leave it at 2 right now. Oops. No. Well, let's do this. This is the last thing I'll try to do. I'm going to make this a 2 and make this a 3. See if I did that right or not. And it's me, so of course I did not. That should be 3. That should be 3. And these should be 1 and 2, I think. 1, 2, 2. There you go. You can see what that did, though. That screwed this up. Fudge. I'm going to just set it back to the way it was. All right. So let's see if it's back to the way it was. That's fine. All right. And again, I could move this over, etc. I don't really care. All right, I didn't put it. We don't look at. Do we have any X padding on that one? We put 10 on all these. All right. And you know what? These two should have been moved up here. I like it better the way it is. It's just fine the way it is.